Picture this: a hotel room in Buenos Aires, shattered balcony, and a global icon gone way too soon. It's the kind of story, well, it sends shockwaves around the world, doesn't it? Leaving us with just more questions than answers.
Yeah, a tragic fall, a whirlwind of speculation, and a legacy, shrouded in mystery. It's a deep dive that really demands we look beyond those headlines and try to piece together the complex life and final moments of Liam Payne.
That's right. We're diving into the story of this young man from Wolverhampton who rose to superstardom as one-fifth of One Direction, captivating hearts across the globe. I mean, with his voice, his charm. But behind the dazzling lights and those sold-out stadiums lay a story of personal battles and demons that even the brightest fame just couldn't erase.
And that's what makes this deep dive so compelling, I think. We're not just retracing the steps of a pop star. We're examining the life of a young man who, like many of us, faced unseen struggles beneath a seemingly perfect surface.
So to understand the enigma of Liam Payne's final chapter, we have to go back to the beginning. Let's rewind to 1993. A world away from screaming fans and stadium tours, to a place called Wolverhampton, England.
It's fascinating how such humble beginnings can give rise to such extraordinary journeys. Liam's early life was far from the glitz and glamour we associate with pop stardom.
Right, he was born prematurely and dealt with some serious health issues as a child. One of his kidneys was scarred, he needed regular hospital visits, injections.
It makes you wonder how these early challenges might have shaped his resilience and determination later in life. He wasn't handed an easy path, but he seemed to find ways to channel those experiences into something positive.
And he had a lot of passions, too. He wasn't just a kid who could sing. He was incredibly athletic, excelling in cross-country running and even boxing.
Oh, wow. That athleticism probably served him well when it came to the grueling demands of touring and performing.
Totally. And it wasn't just sports. It seems like he had this natural stage presence and charisma from a young age.
Yeah.
At 12 years old, he was already performing in a theater production of Saturday Night Fever.
12 years old. Playing Tony Manero, that takes guts. Do we know if there's any footage of that performance? I'd love to see it.
Wouldn't we all talk about foreshadowing? You can almost see the trajectory from that stage to the X Factor a few years later.
Speaking of the X Factor, it's interesting that Liam auditioned twice. First at 14, where he didn't quite make it, and then again at 16, singing that Michael Bublé version of Cry Me a River. It just shows a real drive to succeed, a refusal to give up on his dream.
And it's almost ironic, isn't it? He didn't initially make it through to the boys category at the Judges' House's stage if it wasn't for Nicole Scherzinger, seeing the potential for something bigger, something beyond just the solo act. Who knows what direction his career would have taken?
It's a pivotal moment that underscores the element of chance in even the most meticulously planned careers. Had she not stepped in, we might never have known Liam Payne as we do today.
And think about the ripple effect of that decision. One Direction wasn't just a group. It was a phenomenon. They weren't just singing. They were defining a generation.
Exactly. Their debut single, What Makes You Beautiful, topped charts in multiple countries. It was a whirlwind of success. 5 studio albums, each debuting at #1 in the UK. Their third album, Midnight Memories, became the world's best-selling album in 2013. The Where We Are tour was the highest-grossing tour of 2014.
And it's not just about the numbers. Their music resonated with millions, becoming the soundtrack for countless first loves, heartbreaks, teenage dreams.
But amidst this global phenomenon, Liam was also quietly honing his craft behind the scenes. He wasn't content with just being the charming frontman. He was actively involved in songwriting, even exploring music production under pseudonyms like Big Payne and Payne.
He co-wrote over half the songs on their third and fourth albums. And even while touring the world and recording with One Direction, he found time to co-write Cheryl Cole's I Won't Break. That's some serious dedication and talent.
It suggests a hunger to go beyond the boy band label, a desire to be recognized as a multifaceted artist in his own right. It makes you wonder, was this drive fueled by ambition, creative passion, or perhaps a need to escape the pressures of fame?
It's a great question, and one that becomes even more poignant when we consider what happens next. Because while the world saw a young star living the dream, Liam was already grappling with inner demons. That would ultimately shape his tragic destiny.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in that whirlwind of success. But behind the scenes, Liam was fighting a battle. I mean, a battle many wouldn't have guessed. Even as One Direction took a hiatus in 2016 and he launched his solo career, those inner demons were still very much present.
You're right. It's almost hard to fathom the pressure these young stars face, the constant scrutiny, the relentless schedule, and the expectation to always be on. It's got to take an immense toll.
And for Liam, those pressures were compounded by his personal struggles with mental health and substance abuse. He was incredibly open about these challenges, speaking candidly about his battles with anxiety and depression.
Yeah, his willingness to be so vulnerable, to share his struggles so publicly, I mean, that was truly remarkable. It challenged the perception that celebrities lead perfect lives, and it helped destigmatize mental health issues for countless fans.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
important to remember this was all happening while he was simultaneously trying to establish himself as a solo artist, which is a challenge in itself after being part of such a massive group.
He signed with Republic Records in North America, and released Strip That Down in 2017. It was a huge hit, reaching #3 in the UK and #10 in the US, not to mention his collaborations with
Yeah.
artists like Dead, Rita Ora, J Balvin.
Strip That Down definitely marked a shift in sound for Liam, moving away from the pop rock of One Direction towards more R&B and hip-hop influenced style. Do you think this was a deliberate attempt to break free from that boy band image,
Yeah.
or just like a natural evolution of his musical taste?
That's a great question. Could be a bit of both. He was clearly experimenting with different genres and finding his own voice as a solo artist. His duet with Rita Ora, For You, from the 50 Shades Freed soundtrack, also showcased his vocal range and versatility.
And then, of course,
Yeah.
there was his debut solo album, LP1, released in 2019. It received kind of mixed reviews, with some praising his experimentation and vocal abilities, while others criticized it for lacking a cohesive identity.
I think those mixed reviews reflect the challenge of stepping out from under the shadow of such a successful group. It takes time to find your footing and develop a unique sound that resonates with audiences.
Definitely. But despite the mixed reception, LP1 performed well commercially, reaching the top 20 in several countries. It wasn't a flop by any means.
But even as his solo career was gaining momentum, Liam's personal struggles were intensifying. In 2023, he revealed that he had spent 100 days in a rehab facility in Louisiana, seeking treatment for addiction.
It was a brave decision to share that experience so publicly. It showed his commitment to recovery and served as a powerful message to others struggling with similar issues.
It also highlighted the immense pressure he must have been under, even as he projected an image of success and confidence to the world.
That duality is what makes this deep dive so fascinating, isn't it? The contrast between the public persona and the private struggles, the mask of fame, hiding a very human battle.
And it all leads us to that fateful trip to Buenos Aires in October 2024, where the narrative takes a dark and tragic turn.
A trip that started with the intention of visiting his former bandmate, Niall Horan, and renewing his U.S. visa, but ended in a mystery that continues to haunt us.
So let's unravel what we know about those final days. Liam was staying at a luxury Airbnb, but moved to the Kansas Sur Hotel when his visa was delayed. His girlfriend, Kate Cassidy, left Argentina on October 14th. Liam remained.
And then on October 16th, 2 distress calls were made from the hotel to emergency services.
Here's where things get really unsettling. The first call reported a guest, presumed to be Liam, being overwhelmed with drugs and alcohol, behaving erratically, and causing damage to the room.
The second call, from the hotel manager, expressed even deeper concern, specifically mentioning the balcony in Liam's room and the fear that he might be in danger of harming himself.
It paints a chilling picture of a young man in a state of extreme distress, possibly losing control amidst his personal demons.
But the details of what actually happened next, how Liam ended up falling from that balcony, remain shrouded in uncertainty.
Right. It wasn't just a case of Liam being found unresponsive. There were signs of distress, calls for help, a sense of impending danger. And yet, despite these warnings, tragedy struck.
It raises so many questions. Was it a tragic accident fueled by substance abuse? Was it a desperate cry for help that went unanswered? Or was there something else at play? Something more sinister that we haven't uncovered yet?
The investigation that followed offered some clues, but also deepened the mystery. The autopsy confirmed that Liam died from multiple traumas and internal and external hemorrhaging, consistent with a fall from a height.
But the toxicology reports revealed a cocktail of alcohol, cocaine, and a prescribed antidepressant in his system at the time of his death. Authorities stated that the medical reports suggested that Liam may have fallen in a state of semi or total unconsciousness.
So while we know the fall was the cause of death, the question of intent, of whether it was accidental or deliberate, still lingers. Were those substances a direct factor in the fall? Did they impair his judgment? His coordination? His awareness of the danger he was in?
It's a question that continues to be debated. Some believe the substances played a direct role, leading to a tragic misstep or loss of balance. Others argue it could have been an accident, just a moment of disorientation or confusion
Yeah.
that had fatal consequences.
Yeah, it's a heart-wrenching thought to consider, that the substances he was battling may have played a role in his final moments.
Mm.
But even with the toxicology report, it feels like there are still pieces missing from this puzzle.
Yeah, and those missing pieces only add to the intrigue surrounding Liam's death. The police investigation didn't stop at the toxicology report. They raided the hotel, seized his belongings, including a broken laptop. 3 individuals were even charged, one with abandonment followed by death and drug supply, and 2 others with drug supply.
Wow, I hadn't heard about the charges. That definitely adds another layer to this story. What's the significance of the broken laptop, though? Could it hold information about Liam's state of mind in those final days or even hours?
It's certainly a possibility. Was it damaged accidentally or deliberately? Was there something on that laptop that someone wanted to keep hidden? I mean, these are questions that investigators were likely trying to answer.
It almost feels like something out of a crime drama. A global icon, a tragic fall, a broken laptop, and a web of individuals potentially involved. It's no wonder there were so many conspiracy theories swirling around Liam's death.
It's understandable that people were searching for answers, for some way to make sense of such a senseless loss. Liam's life, both public and private, was constantly under scrutiny. And his death, with its unanswered questions, only amplified that scrutiny.
And while the investigation may have uncovered some clues, it hasn't provided a definitive conclusion about what truly happened that night. Did Liam accidentally fall? Did he jump? Or was there something more nefarious involved?
I don't know. We may never know the full truth. But what we do know is that Liam's passing left a void in the music world and beyond. His family, his friends, his former bandmates, and millions of fans around the world were left grieving a life cut tragically short.
It's important to remember that amidst all the speculation and investigation, there's a human story at the heart of this. A young man who, despite achieving incredible fame and success, was still vulnerable, still fighting his own internal battles.
And a young man who, in his final years, was trying to find peace, to navigate the complexities of fame, fatherhood, and personal recovery.
He spoke openly about being 6 months sober, just a few months before his death. It seemed like he was on a positive path, committed to his music and to his son.
His story is a reminder that even those who seem to have it all can be struggling silently. It's a reminder to be kind, to offer support to those who need it, and to never underestimate the power of compassion.
Liam's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was a talented artist, a devoted father, a young man who battled his demons publicly, and ultimately, a victim of a tragedy that continues to raise more questions than answers.
He'll be remembered for his contributions to music, his infectious energy on stage, and his willingness to speak out about mental health challenges.
This deep dive has been a somber journey, one that has taken us from the heights of pop stardom to the depths of personal struggle. We've explored the complexities of fame, the fragility of life, and the enduring power of music.
And while we may never have all the answers about Liam Payne's final chapter, we can honor his memory by continuing the conversation about mental health, about supporting those who are struggling, and about cherishing the moments we have with those we love.
Liam Payne's story, though marked by tragedy, continues to resonate.
His music.
His vulnerability and his pursuit of a life beyond the spotlight offer a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope, always a reason to reach out, to connect, and to seek support.
This deep dive has been a tribute to his life, his music, and his enduring impact on the world. May his story inspire us to be more understanding, more compassionate, and more supportive of those around us who may be silently battling their own demons.
Liam Payne, you will be missed, but your music and your story will live on.